Beardy and the Beast, The Second Wall.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is placeholder intro song.
Welcome to The Second Wall, a binge-free zone where we will look at a series and discuss it in small chunks, similar to water cooler conversations of old. We can be found on most podcast and social media platforms, a full list of which can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. Today we'll be discussing the Netflix series Squid Game. With me, of course, is Drew. Please feel free to join the conversation in the comments below.
So let's end this game in one round. Don't tell me you would rather do what they are.
What did you say?
Did you hear me?
Oh, even. Yeah, this episode was almost the exact opposite of last episode.
Yes.
It was all game. I feel overall not much happened in as I see it. I mean, other than clearly a couple of character deaths.
Oh,
I know. We'll finish with those ones. Let's start with 212.
212. Han Mi Nyol.
Yeah.
She just got dragged off screen.
Yeah, it entered my mind as like, okay, was she eliminated or did she get a bye?
Yeah, because she was willing to participate.
Yeah.
She was just unable to do so, so I think she got a bye.
Yeah. That's what I'm leaning towards. Because normally, even if something like, well, I mean, we haven't had anything happen off screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm suspecting it's a bye, especially considering we hear screams, but we never hear a gunshot or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm leaning towards. If they did kill her off screen and she didn't get a bye, well, I mean, it's no surprise no one wanted to play with her. Right? Especially going based off the assumption that they're going into a team game, which, well, they weren't. Which is,
Yeah, I think yeah, you've convinced me. Like I didn't think she had died yet.
yeah.
I didn't know her fate, but now that you bring up the position of a bye, I think that is the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we'll find out next episode. So yeah, this episode was completely the game. So, which way do we want to talk about 218, 199,
Oh.
67, and 240? Or 456 and 01?
We'll talk about 67 and 240, Bay. Because I think it's the shortest one.
Yeah.
So essentially just a series of like a little bit of exposition, a little way to flesh out character 67 and actually show her directly as having emotions instead of just being constantly stoic.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I assumed anyways. She's a person.
Yeah.
It's
her motivation. It's that same thing we kind of talked about with 456, which you did finally sell me on. It's just she has to block herself off.
yeah. It's
right?
yeah, she's obviously, it's not that she's not capable of showing emotions, it's that she has a mission. She has something that she needs to do, and reacting emotionally in that circumstance is not the the best way through it.
Yeah. I think 240, the way 240 was, I totally expected what happened there. I totally expected her to throw whatever game it was.
Yeah, as soon as they started talking about secrets and stuff no one else knows, I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, she's kind of having a final conversation.
Yeah. And even with her whole, oh yeah, we'll go do this. Like, oh, but I had the feeling through the entire conversations, like, you'll go do this. Like 240 saying that to 67. So yeah, there was no surprises there. Again, as soon as it comes down to put it all down on one bet, it's like it's probably going to go this way. Both of them were showing themselves to be fairly savvy when it came to it. I think it'll go a long way to helping open up, having 67 open up, because now there is something for trust, which she didn't really, which she's clearly stated before she doesn't have. So
Yeah, I don't think her path through the challenges ahead will change.
I don't either,
Uh,
but I think she might be more willing to connect with someone if need be.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but you could also make these same arguments for less likely to open up or trust somebody.
That is fair.
I'm not going either way.
Yeah.
I mean, her character is the only one that actually has like a bit of mystery to it for me still.
Yeah. I think another thing to point out is 240 clearly shows that it's not all about debt for joining the game. Sounds like she wasn't invited because of debt.
See, that really makes me wonder about it, because like during the intro of the game and the whole like monologue by the the speech by Mask and all that was literally saying like, you are all overwhelmed with debt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if it's possible that she's carrying debt from
Her family.
her father or family. But I was under the assumption that you don't carry debt from a family member like that in South Korea. I mean, I could be wrong.
It could be a timing thing too, because it didn't really say how spread out it was between when she got the offer and when she killed her dad.
Yeah, it's either a gaping plot hole or elaboration on the game, and I'm thinking more on the plot hole side.
Yeah, that is fair, and it's probably one we're never going to get a resolution to.
No. 240 should have got a resolution with me. It's my star.
Yeah, no surprises in her dying. I think we called that when we saw her. It was an interesting way to see her go, though, and
I'm glad it had impact and meaning and not just being written off.
Yeah.
I was happy about that. And they did flush out her character beyond just being kind of like a sarcastic a-hole.
Yeah. Yeah, the meaning. It has meaning, and I like the idea of going out on your own terms.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the one thing that she fully had control over.
Yeah.
It's like the whole sorry to go anime, but it's like the whole Hyuga thing from Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the one decision that sub clan can make of their own like free will or whatever, the one choice for freedom.
Yeah.
But speaking of deaths that we called at the hands of people we called, 218 and 199.
What a dick. It really, everything about 218 is pointing me back to, yeah, no, he stole from 456.
I'm telling you, man.
Oh yeah, no, it's
I mean, I understand why he did what he did.
Mhm.
From his perception, it was either what he did or death.
yes.
The sum of the game is to live,
Yeah.
not to gain 20 marbles fairly.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately
Yeah,
my favorite character is 199. But it doesn't absolve him morally.
oh god, no.
But
And
what he did was smart.
it really was. It's so there's a couple of things that really jumped out to me in the forefront with their interaction there. Do you get the impression that 199 is not understanding things strictly because he's not from Korea, or because he is a bit on the slower side?
Oh. I think I think that's something to do with the acting.
Mm.
It's clear that 199 can speak Korean.
Yeah.
Like I think the actor is probably fluent,
Mm-hmm.
but to give the impression that they're still a learner and don't know everything, acting in such a manner that makes them seem like they're a bit slower.
Yeah.
I think just overly trusting, especially because he felt like he had built a trust with 218. He felt like there was a kinship, like they were brothers. And I think that if we were to look at it from 199 side, all he had in his world up until that point was his family and a boss that was taking advantage of him.
Yeah.
And then with a small gesture, a little light in the darkness from 218, which I'm confused because of like using the acting. Like, was it him being kind or was it him taking pity? Like for the bus fare and all this, like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
That. Oh,
I would like to see that resolve more, but I don't think that'll happen. So
yeah. 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 Because there's definitely something there in the acting, because like the trusting is where I'd like to believe it is, and just being naive in that regard. But then it's things like him not knowing odd and even, having to have that explained to him. And I vaguely recall something else. I can't remember the specifics in an earlier episode where it kind of gave me that same thing. It's like, this seems like a pretty basic thing that you should understand. I can't remember the specific, but I do remember something like that happening. Um, Basically, I'm wondering, did
they write the brown guy as being a slow guy?
well, I'm wondering more for 218's motivation, how it could play into 456, if our theory there is correct. Because
Oh,
it's changed it from, yeah, sure, he's manipulative, it's just the plan seems like something you get away with because he's slow.
So what
It
you're
didn't play in the trust enough, so or was not clear enough if it was just trust or not.
it could be like a repetitive series of character archetypes. So what I mean by that is for this future big reveal that we're both speculating that 218 only got into SNU because he like stole a test or something 456.
Yeah.
What they're doing is post that event, but pre that reveal, they're establishing that path or tendency in this character for him
Yeah.
to take advantage of people that he perceives is not as clever as him.
Yes.
Um, I mean, if they're doing that, it sucks that they had to get rid of like my favorite character aside from 240. My favorite character to um bring that out, but it would be a good technique
Yeah.
writing wise, and I would appreciate it. I don't think it would have been 100% necessary, but I would appreciate it because it does like it reinforce him as likely the future antagonist.
Yeah. So
Probably when 101 is no longer.
yeah. I appreciate how 101 did show some cleverness there when he realized how badly he was going to lose.
Do,
Uh,
do
I'm
something that was more related to physical prowess and chance than
yeah,
um, cleverness.
yeah, but clever enough to get the rules changed
Yeah.
for their game. Uh, the only part about that interaction that I didn't like, and I don't really think we need to spend much time on it, is um, he still won by luck.
Yeah. But I mean, up until this point, he's been running on it.
Yeah,
The only real cleverness he had is, team of 10, get strong guys.
yeah, yeah, and that's fair. It's just kind of I. It felt a little forced,
Mm,
like just because of the nature of it, and that really hasn't been. We haven't seen anything that directly luck based throughout the show.
I guess.
Like, and that's the only reason I really mentioned that part.
I agree with you that it's like him succeeding like through pure luck.
Yeah,
Um, I could make arguments about him having personal luck versus like the structured environment in there. Like he was lucky that Han Minyo gave him a lighter, but she had her own motivations for doing it, so it's not really I all I can say is I think there's a point where this luck finger quotations is gonna run out, and I think it's gonna be the next episode probably
yeah, I could see that.
because I really do. I mean, maybe it's because I think 218's a big jerk. Well, I mean, I always thought he was a big jerk, but I think I have it out for him now.
Yeah,
I really think 101 is going to be eliminated in favor of um
routine.
218.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. Um, just before we go into the big one,
Mm.
I would like to point out the little bit of that little twinge of sadness, even though it was not shown there. There was that one couple,
Mm.
and even though we don't see what happened with it, it's like, either they both died there or they had to kill off their significant other.
I'm more interested in if the couple played the game.
Mm. Yeah, I'd be interested in that too, or if they did something like 240 did for 67, or just discussed even amongst themselves which one.
I think. I mean, I don't think they would end up reusing that.
Yeah,
This writing style tells me that one would have likely just given the marbles to the other one.
yeah. Um,
But
it is the one time that I would have liked to see some characters that we literally only had a passing thing on. It's like that's a story I would have liked to see.
hmm Well, I think they'll touch base on it in the next episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with. I'd have to go back and get familiar with their faces because like it's only like the second or third time glimpse of them we've seen,
Yeah.
and like I'm more interested in like 456, 67, 240, etc.
Oh, of course. Like I said, it's the first time I've actually cared
Yeah.
about them. They haven't been a presence. They've just, they've been mentioned a couple of times, but so as 450 other characters, technically.
Uh, I'm actually it's like 436 or something like that because like 20 didn't come back.
Right, but they would have still been there for the first game. So technically they were there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, so our Sung Ji Hoon and our Oh Il Nam,
You're throwing me
which
off because you're using their names all of a sudden.
I go to the effort to write their names every time I take notes. So 456 and 001. The reason why I've been
I just
using
write down their archetype. I haven't even
the,
written down their names.
when the reason why I'm bringing up their names a lot here though is I was wondering if they were gonna let 001 go without revealing his name.
Mm. All right. Yeah,
Uh,
that's fair.
Throughout the entire marble thing, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
And I was also I'm glad they didn't go this way because this would have been more of a 218 move.
Mm.
Um, I was worried that 456 would have been like because 001 was having memory lapses and dementia issues, possibly. Um, if 456 was just going to go up to him and be like, you said we're Guanbu and that you even lend your friends your marbles, I borrow
Yeah.
your marbles.
Yeah.
That's a 218 move. It's not a 456 move. And I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah. It was. That was. That was definitely the most engaging part of this episode. Their battle, as it were. Um, I have no doubt that 001 always had in his mind that he was just going to let 456 like give everything to 456.
Hmm.
I have no doubt of that. I don't think his mind has slipped near as much as he let it out to be. And we always said we had something odd with the way his character was.
Yeah.
Oh, I honestly think part of that was just part of that could have been if he is not a legacy, and no indication of that either way at this point, or if it could have just been this is how I'm getting through the game. No one's going to think of me as a threat by doing this. Um, what I like the contrast between what 218 did and 456 did here. 218 didn't hesitate to manipulate
Mm-hmm.
199.
Even going as far to try to cash in every little uh what did I write it out? Cash in every little favor while pleading.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas 456 clearly was doing it out of desperation, and you saw it in every interaction he did.
Mm.
Every single time once he was given the opportunity. The first time one said, "Oh, what did you say?" I immediately wrote down, he knows. He's purposefully giving the opportunity to change his mind.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you that 001 was likely doing this intentionally for very specific reasons, but mine are really out there. They're actually different than yours, I suspect. And it all culminates at the end where he's like, you would even trick your friend like that.
Yeah. I think like that's where I was leading. Like, I mean, I know he was testing him. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how that came across to me. Um, and I think a big aspect of the test, uh, I think it wasn't the fact that he was tricking him and, letting him get away with that. I think if 456 wasn't so hesitant and like he showed the desperation, you could tell he didn't want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but had to. Like he conveyed that very well emotionally during this. And I think that helped play a part for that final bit by 001. Where it's like you'd even trick your friend. Like he knew. Um, I'm not surprised to give him the marble, but I think if he had been like a 218 doing that, he would have never given up that last marble.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Like, I really enjoy seeing these moral challenges on 456. Seeing him, I mean, it's not falling to darkness, but it is challenging him to every fiber of his being.
And that's the thing. It's not everyone sees darkness. Everyone just in life,
Yeah.
you have darkness, and you have these challenges to overcome. You've got these moral decisions, life and death decisions, simple decisions that can have lasting consequences for everyone. And one thing I appreciate with this is like, even though to survive, he has to play in that darkness. He has to, you know, trick the old man, the senile old man. It's the hesitancy and that resistance that's still there that shows that even though you have to play with it, it doesn't mean you have to fall to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the big takeaway I get from that. That's kind of what I think 001 was getting at with the speech there too. It's like, yeah, you will go to that point where you'll even trick your friend. But he didn't say that with malice, right? It was like that life lesson more than anything. It's like there's going to be situations where you have to make that choice.
So what really makes me this entire situation really makes me wonder about the games in general.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder from the start going through to the end of this game cycle. If it was purely so people like 001 could see the extent that people would go to. And they're going, what are you talking about, Drew? And I'm going to tell you. Throughout the game, explicitly, they made sure to show the on screen death of every partner.
Mm-hmm.
except 001.
Yeah.
They made sure, when panning away, to show as many bodies on the floor, aside from 001.
Mm.
I think 001 is alive.
Oh.
It's the kind of shark jump this show would do. So I think 001 was playing 456 the whole time to see the extent that 456 would go to. And it was likely that 001 should have gotten the bye if there was a bye. But instead 212 got it. But even then, that would leave a hole because he also had 111 previously. I think 001 has been socially manipulating everyone that he can to get through these games. And I think this all goes back to the concept of legacies.
Yeah.
But I don't think 001 is dead.
Okay. So
as he unwraps it.
yeah. Just thinking on this for a second. So
unless there's some weird cultural thing, like you don't show like the death of an elderly person on screen or something, which I don't think is the case.
no, I don't think that's the case. So that totally didn't enter my head. I like it, but it didn't enter my head. I honestly thought it was literally just it just entered my mind as a respect thing. Just having the assumption that we've seen them kill everyone else, just have that assumption and let it go through.
What cued me to it is because they didn't show the shot.
Mm.
But one of the things that you'll notice when they shoot everyone, there's the sound of the body falling too. So he's shot, crumple, impact. I didn't hear an impact either.
Okay, I missed that. I like this.
It's out there.
It is. So it makes me a little bit near about 212. Like, so if that's the case, I would say 212 having a bye and 001 surviving is odd.
Oh,
I'll
like
accept
in
it.
parallel.
Yeah. I'm going to play off of your idea here. I'm going to raise it an extra step.
Oh, gee. Okay. But do I need my tinfoil hat for this one? Because
let's say I'm going to put the legacy theory. I'm just going to put that over here for a second.
Okay, yeah, because I prefer legacy theory.
Yeah. 001 is not in the book.
Mm.
He's a VIP.
Yes. He would either be the VIP or the architect, I guess you would call him.
Yeah.
Of the games.
Yeah.
Especially when you think of every time it's him talking about how he used to do it as a kid.
Yes. And one big thing that happened here at the beginning of this episode, the one little bit of important information that came from the cop's story. Black Mask isn't in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So who is?
I wonder.
It's odd that 001, before everything went batshit, had the ability to get up on top of everything and way out of the way of any danger and the riots that were happening, the riot that happened.
Especially with his perceived physical prowess.
Mhm.
And
And there's
it
always been something off about him.
and it was like the riot was stopped forcefully by the guards
After his
after
speech.
after a speech. Yeah. The only thing that doesn't hold up for me, in this, I'm going to call it architect theory,
Mhm.
because that's where I'm leaning that to what his position actually is, or maybe creator, but architect
Yeah.
could layer onto that, is tug of war.
Mm.
That would have been that really is like flipping a coin based on physical prowess.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's the one spot that that's the one spot that really um pokes at it. I can
I mean, there's lots, but like glaring.
uh, yeah, but to go with that glaring one, just because you're the creator or the VIP doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get involved.
Hmm.
Like you could still be willing to put it all on the line. So, I mean, that's in other media too, where you have the creator being there the entire time. Like even like Saw, the first Saw, right? The killer was in the room the entire time. Yeah, just because you're the creator doesn't mean that you're not willing to risk it for what's happening,
Hmm.
right? And again, just having that clear strategy that he knew worked, 99% of the time. Even so, sure, it might have been a risk, but he didn't see it as near. He wouldn't have seen it to be quite the risk that we're going to assume it was.
Well, it's such that the glee on the old man's face seems authentic, and that
Yeah,
might just be great acting. But I mean, I have to hold the character as presented.
yeah,
So if I were to take it as presented, it might be that he participates out of like the thrill of the game.
yeah,
This could be much like uh, hunting, the most dangerous prey, man.
yeah,
This could be a case of like playing the most thrilling game, life
yeah,
and death, right? Uh, I'm not sure how to process this theory.
yeah,
Uh, I hope they don't go that way, but I kind of hope they do.
yeah.
Um,
I think it would make the missing page in the book make a little more sense with it being him being the architect. And I don't know if the architect theory and the legacy theory are necessarily
exclusive.
either or. Yeah, I don't like it might not be exclusive.
Uh, uh, Only through semantics could I
Mm,
uh separate them, I guess you could
mm,
say.
yeah,
I do prefer legacy theory,
yeah,
but it really does seem, if we're to put all this aside, it really does seem clear that 001 knew he was being played and was putting that out there. I mean, if we were to bring this back to the level, if I were to take my tinfoil hat off, if he really is just a kindly old man who trusts and has a brain tumor and knows that he's going to die, the only person who's actually showed kindness to him in the game, I could see him giving his life for, right?
yeah,
So to see how desperate 456 was to do it, to even betray his friend, which is like that constant presence of some form of morality.
yeah. And the remorse. The remorse is what I think, again, really matters with what 456 did there.
Yeah, it's one thing to break a perceived moral boundary, but to feel bad about it in the end is a whole other thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't have any other predictions aside from the whole 101 probably dying in the next episode and 212 taking over as antagonist.
218, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I drew my line weird. Yeah, 218.
Yeah.
So marbles. do you live or do you die?
Oh. I don't know. In this one here, I think there's the way most people played the game was essentially luck based,
Mm-hmm.
and I really don't see myself. I don't see it immediately entering my mind to do something like 218 did, and just manipulate the heck out of my opponent.
Well, I think if you were playing odds and evens,
Yeah.
I think you'd have a good shot.
Yeah.
It's a case of like reading your opponent.
Yeah.
So once you've seen them do a pattern,
Yeah.
like playing off them and then manipulating them in a game theory sense,
Yes.
I think you would succeed.
Yeah. That's where it break that luck, because I know I've seen that it would be luck based more for me because I'm very good at picking up on how people play games
Mm-hmm.
fairly quickly. I mean, you've played enough games with me that you've
Yeah.
seen that. The question is half an hour enough time for me to pick up the pattern?
I think if you were to get over the initial, and I think you would because
Yeah.
of the circumstances previous, if you were to get over the initial shock of life or death,
Yeah.
I think you would like zero in. You'd be on
Yeah.
the game quickly.
Yeah.
Because you'd have already been subjected to that.
Yeah.
As far as odds and evens, it's 50-50 for me whether or not I'd win that.
Yeah.
And that's why my game would not be odds and even. It would be something like most marbles landed in this cup.
Mm.
Something that's hand-eye physical. Something that like my most relevant skills.
Yeah.
Be it from computer gaming or alternatively my like 10 years playing Ultimate Frisbee.
Mm.
So my game would be probably not old school marble style, get them in the hole.
Yeah.
It'd probably be something like you throw this and you get it through a hole.
Yeah.
Something elevated.
Yeah.
Or maybe leg wrestling.
That was the other thing that I was actually thinking of, and it's the one thing that surprised me that 101 didn't try, because they never said the game had to be with the marbles.
It was for the marbles.
Exactly. What about an arm wrestle?
I would not arm wrestle.
Well, just as a...
Yeah. Oh, 101. Yeah, he could have just been arm wrestle.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest aspect of the marbles game, where a lot of the stuff could become luck based. Most of the games we saw ended up being odd even.
Mm-hmm.
I think we saw like one group actually playing marbles, right? Like with the cluster of them. And
yeah. I've never played that way.
I
only ever played the hole in the ground way.
Yeah, I only know that other way because I remember way back when I was a wee lad, they had the circles in the schoolyards where we would play pogs.
Oh, before they were
but it was,
banned?
yeah, but it was the marble, but they were there for marbles.
Oh.
All right, so you knock them out of the circle. That's the way I knew of marbles. Um, that's the other aspect. It's what game gets chosen.
I think that's the biggest strategy.
Yeah, and it's finding a game that's going to benefit you, take as much luck as you can out of it, and what type of things would they allow? Because they said, you can't have violence. So would they consider an arm wrestle, like wrestle, something like that, violence?
No.
Well, it wasn't explored in the show, so I'm not like that's the that would be where the question it lies, right? Do they consider that? Um, Actually, I can't remember if they said violence or if they said physical.
I think violence.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this-
leg wrestle would probably
yeah,
be my go. Which would have been sad because I would have been trying to, buddy up with Bay 240, and
oh, you'll get your leg wrestle in for the half hour. um, there was one other strategy that entered my mind that I would have entertained a lot more if they had allowed the tripping in the tug of war to
Oh, I wish they had done
work.
that. I wish they had done
Oh
that. That
no.
was such a good idea.
Yeah, because they never actually said you need to get all 20 marbles.
Okay.
The rules were you need to get your opponent's marbles.
Oh.
So
So just very semantic in the rules. Like, I've gotten one of the marbles. That's enough.
you have to get your opponent. It might have been your opponent's 10 marbles or something.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm remembering that clearly,
Oh, if you just
see what-
exchanged.
yeah, like it's
Given the rules as provided,
yeah,
should work. Just like the tripping thing.
yeah.
In this realm of the show, I doubt it would work.
Yeah, as I said, it's something that entered my mind, but I immediately dismissed because of how they treated the tug of war. If they didn't treat the tug of war that way, I would have kept that on the table.
That would have been so good if they tripped, lost, and then probably got shot. Now I'm hung up on that.
Yeah.
I've got 001 architect theory, like, it's not even in my brain anymore.
Well, maybe we'll find out more next episode.
Next episode.
Thanks for huddling around the second wall with us here tonight. Join us next time as we continue our discussion on Squid Game. Please join the conversation in the comments, in social media, or on our Discord, as we would love to continue the conversation there. Again, a full list can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. Thank you, and have a great night.